Peace, everyone. It's Dr. Rich. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is feeling good and building a better life. I want to start by introducing myself in my work and my role with Generation Hip Hop. I am the Director of Youth Service Education. And that basically means I'm the person responsible for helping to develop in Generation Hip Hop a deeper understanding in those who work with young people on what it means to work with young people, how to be more effective in the work that we're putting in. Generation Hip Hop is a movement that is in its foundational stage, and that means that we have to invest and build towards something bigger, better, and greater. We're laying the foundation and establishing the root of the organization in its movement. So I want to first say thank you to everyone that's actually and literally putting in work. I want to say thank you for all that you're doing, where you're at to build in your community and in your region for Generation Hip Hop. Because I tell you, it is important work. We are part of something very significant. The use of hip hop culture, to help young people in very strategic ways to grow, develop, and to be empowered. And that in itself is a great task. And we are part of that task. These short talks are really all about giving you knowledge and information and equipping. So I'm going to start with a foundation. That foundation is so that we make sure that we are understanding things together. That foundation is key to making sure that we are seeing things in similar ways as parts of the movement. I'm zeroing in, targeting, focusing in on this issue of youth service or youth work, because that's my area. And I want to make sure that you, youth workers, have a real sense of what you're doing and the value of what you're doing, the power of what you're doing, the significance of what you're doing. We all know that our young people have needs, right? We all know that our young people need support. We all know that our young people have lives to live, and we want to see them live those lives to the fullest. We want to actually help them have a better life. We want to help them have more than just survival, but to actually thrive, to grow, to build, and enhance. So Generation Hip Hop is trying to do this, to provide this support in very targeted ways. Now let me say something about this, because this is extremely important. Young people are moving in life. That movement in life has many parts to it. There's many aspects to it. Part of it is what we call development, right? Young people are coming from birth and moving through life. And that movement through life we call development. We in Generation Hip Hop want to support young people in their development. We want to support them as they're learning and growing and building and enhancing. That development process looks different from phase to phase, age to age. If you look at the chart behind me, there's a piece of this chart right here. This part focuses in on youth development. What we really are talking about is supporting youth as they grow, supporting youth as they develop, as they emerge, as they mature. At every stage or phase of life, which is this, right? Young people go through different things, live through different things, have to achieve different things. And that means that we who are working with young people have zones of service Now, when I say zones of service, this is what I mean. Some people might be working with very young people, what we would call toddlers, right? Young children between the age of 3 and 6, 3 and 5, 3 and 6. Some people may be working with children that are in the age range of 5, 6 to 12, 13. Others may be working with young people that are in the age range, right, of 13, 14 to 18, 19, that teen years, those teen years that are critical to the emergence into adulthood. And then there are those who are working with young adults. And when we say young adults, we're talking about 18 or 19, 20, up until 30. So each one of these can be seen as a stage phase of youth life. And young people are moving along that journey day by day. We are here to help support them in that movement. Now, communities do it, parents do it, families do it, and so on and so forth. Generation Hip Hop is doing it in unique ways in different places, right, within the world of hip hop culture. In other words, we're not just trying to support youth, we're also supporting youth in and through hip hop culture. So I'm going to say something about hip hop culture, and then I want to move to another part of what we're doing. So when we say youth work, we're talking about working with young people in these different phases and stages as they grow and develop, to give them what they need to survive and thrive, to survive and have a better life, to survive and do better. That's what this is about. It's not just let them live, but it's to give them the support that they need so that they can live and thrive and grow, so that they can have a better life. That's part of our work. We do that within the context or zone of what we call hip-hop culture. Now let me say something about hip-hop culture. Hip-hop culture, hip-hop cultural movement means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So I want to give you a framework to understand where I'm coming from in the youth services education area as it relates to hip-hop culture. Hip-hop culture is the combination of several things. Those things we, me, and others in my circle define, design, and map out those things in a unique way. Just like this. It's very simple. It's so simple that it could even seem too simple. But it's like this. Hip-hop culture, right, includes, one, elements. Now when we say elements, we're talking about things, practices, realities that are a part of the whole culture that people live and experience. When we go back to the birth of the culture in the 1970s, and we begin to move forward through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, hip-hop culture developed elements and added elements. These elements include DJing, the practice of DJing, the craft of DJing, from a hip-hop point of view. It includes MCing, or what some people call MC rapping, right? The craft of MC work. That includes the MC part of rap and lyrical development and writing and performance and crowd control, right? And so on and so forth. All of these things are part of the MC's craft. So these are, when we say elements, we're talking about things that go on in the hip-hop cultural community. This includes also b-boying and b-girling, right? Particular dance styles, particular approaches to urban dance that grew out of the hip-hop community. When we talk about this issue of elements, we also include what we call graffiti, graph arts, right? Aerosol arts, black book work, drawing, illustration that is influenced and shaped by the realities of hip-hop culture. So these elements form the stuff of hip-hop culture. We are doing our support of young people within that reality. We're trying to give them skills. We're trying to support their development and their growth within the reality of hip-hop culture. Now, there are additional other elements, right? Knowledge, the pursuit of skill, the pursuit of information, right? And understanding, knowledge of self, knowledge of the world, knowledge of how things work in the social world, right? So that we can build better lives, make change in the social world. All of this is a part of the reality of the element of knowledge in hip-hop culture. So again, I'm giving you a framework, right, for thinking about what we're doing here in these talks, what I'm doing here in these talks. So again, Generation Hip Hop is working to support young people, to support their development and more. We'll talk about the more in just a minute. This development we're supporting in many ways, but in a very important way, we're doing it within hip-hop culture. Hip-hop culture includes elements, right? So we mentioned DJing and MCing and b-boying and b-girling and graph arts, right? And knowledge. But also there is hip-hop fashion. There is hip-hop entrepreneurship or entrepreneurialism. There's beatboxing, right? All of these things are part of hip-hop's element life. And these elements have developed over years. Many have contributed to the development. So this element reality is part of hip-hop culture. But then we also have, in hip-hop culture, we have what we call values. You can see it here. Hip-hop culture, elements, values. And when we say values, what we're really talking about is ideas, concepts that help guide how we live, that help guide how we operate in the world, right? These core values, peace, love, unity, fun, positivity. Let me say that again. These core values, peace, love, unity, fun, positive, productive fun, and positivity. These values shape how we operate in the world as hip-hoppers, as people in the hip-hop culture. So, hip-hop culture includes elements, values, but it also includes a history and a legacy. And that history and legacy is very important. A legacy is something that is established and left for others that follow. A history is what has developed within that culture over time. What that time development looks like. So hip-hop culture, in a very core, basic way, is this culture that includes these specific elements, these specific values, and this specific history and legacy. From this, we have so many things that have developed. Part of what my focus is within youth services education is to help empower you to understand how you can use these tools of this culture, these elements, right? These values, right? This history and legacy to help shape, support, and nurture the development of young people. Now, there's another piece to this that's very important. That piece is what we call empowerment. Empowerment. That is reflected over here. Empowerment. In a very basic way, empowerment means to give power. Now, what does that mean to give power? It means to help people develop their power. To empower is to give you the ability to develop your own power. Now, what is that when we say power? Well, part of that is skills, abilities, helping people harness and develop and build skills and abilities. It also means helping people to release and develop their gifting and their talents and those innate potentials and powers that people have. So there are things that I'm not actually giving to you. Some of this I'm actually just helping you to develop. You have them, right? But part of it is also learning new things, building and developing new things. And when it comes to young people, we have to help empower young people because we want them to be able to move in this world. We want them to be able to make a change in their own lives and in their realities. We want them to be able to be power brokers, individual young people that can make a difference, that can make moves in this life. So empowerment not only includes skills and knowledge, but it includes helping them to understand how to move in the world, how to express themselves in the world, how to move socially, and that includes the development of power in the world. Economic power, that's financial power, wealth building, entrepreneurship, business development. Also it includes educational power, understanding how to use knowledge and learning to enhance your life, to be able to make a difference in the world and in your own personal experience and reality. Also, political power, how to understand political systems and how to understand how to use political systems to make a difference in the world. So when we talk about what we're going to talk about, right? When I talk about what I'm going to be talking about, I'm trying to give you now a sense of the deeper look, the deeper push that we're going to make into this reality that we call Generation Hip Hop's work of empowering youth workers, of empowering you that work with young people so that what you do can be more effective in the work, can be more effective in the practice, can be more effective in the effort to help young people develop and to help young people be power brokers, to help young people be movers and shakers, to help empower them. So let me summarize what I've said, because this is just the introduction. We're going to be doing this on a regular basis so that we dig deep into each area. Generation Hip Hop is a global movement. What we're trying to do is to help empower people, to empower young people. We want to empower young people to empower other young people. We want to use people, young people and older people, right? We want to use systems. We want to use economics to help young people develop, to help them grow and become, not just survive, but thrive and build. And we want to do all of this in close connection with hip-hop culture. Hip-hop culture is that culture that developed out of the 70s in the Bronx or in New York with a foundation before the 70s and after. That culture that has its own elements, that has its own values, and that has its own now history and legacy. Those things make up the substance of hip-hop culture. A larger reality that we live together, experience together, practice together, and move in together. We are working in Generation Hip-Hop to make moves in the world with hip-hop culture to do these things. So please look forward to my posts. I'm going to continue to give these mini talks. We're going to take a deeper dive into what it means to be part of the generational hip-hop movement and the work of empowering young people. I want to say peace and blessings to everybody. Keep your head up. Stay strong. There's a lot to do, and we've already begun. Peace, y'all. Dr. Rich signing out.